So the listing presentation is actually making the agent. If an agent knows what he's doing during the listing presentation, before the listing presentation, after the listing presentation, and obviously during the listing presentation, those who really know what they're doing tend to get all the listings. We spoke many times about the fact that about 5% of agents are top producing that do more than 80% of the deals. And one of the reasons is because they know what they're doing when it comes to the listing presentation. The listing presentation doesn't start when you meet with the seller at the house. It actually starts way before. So when we talk about the listing presentation as step 15 in our system, it's actually not starting there. It starts way before. The listing presentation starts with the pre-qualifying script. So if you're doing a FISBO script or you're doing an expired script and then you jump on the pre-qualifying script, at that moment, you started your listing presentation. The first question on the pre-qualifying script is, if what I say makes sense and you feel comfortable and confident that I can sell your home, are you planning to list your home with me when I see you today or tomorrow at 5 o'clock? That question is part of the listing presentation. You're starting your listing presentation with pre-qualifying. Go through all the questions, finalize pre-qualifying, send the pre-listing package, call them again after you send the pre-listing package. Did you receive my package? Do you have any questions before we meet tomorrow at 5 o'clock? Boom. Then tomorrow at 5 o'clock, you're meeting. You start your listing presentation. One of X things are going to happen today, number 1, number 2, number 3. And then you go into the listing presentation. Finish the 1-minute presentation. Close if you know them and they're ready to list. Continue if they're not. Or if you don't know them, continue to the 5-minute listing presentation and then continue to the 20-25 minutes listing presentation. The entire process should take about 25-30 minutes max after you handle objections. Now, if you can handle objections ahead of time, one of which is the first question on the pre-qualifying script, if what I say makes sense. If you ask that question, you are basically beginning the process of objections. Let them object at the pre-listing process. Let them object way before we meet. Let them take a look at your pre-listing package and come out with some objections. What's your commission? The other agent told me they can do it for less. My sister-in-law, my brother-in-law, my husband is a realtor. Whatever the story is, they have objections. If you can handle them before, or at least know about those objections before you even meet with them to do your listing presentation, there are more chances of you actually getting the listing at the listing presentation. Now, the listing presentation doesn't end at the end of your presentation. It actually ends when you sign the listing. So if you left the listing presentation and the seller didn't give you the listing because they want to think it over, which is, by the way, acceptable. We're talking about 5% up to 7% of their property value that they need to hand over to you, which is, a big step. So maybe they want to think it over. Maybe they want to sleep on it. Maybe they want to ask more questions. Maybe. If you are designing your business to get you listings, then you're designing your business from day one to make sure that you have all the steps laid out. So you're not waiting for them to surprise you with, let us sleep on it, we'll get back to you. You're prepared for let us sleep on it, we'll get back to you. Which means if they say that, you say, no problem. Let me ask you before I leave, what is it specifically that you want to sleep on? Like, what is it specifically in the process? Is it the money? Is it the process itself? Is it me? Is it my, what is it? And you're trying to help them figure things out. And then once you leave the house without the listing, you then have to do a follow-up. So you will tell them, listen, I'm going to go to my office. I'm going to send you a couple of things that I think you should look at that are going to help you to make a decision. You're just continuing the follow-up process. If you're going to leave the listing presentation by saying, okay, so guys, let me know when you decide, game over. You're not getting the listing in most cases. Sometimes you get it. Sometimes they call you, okay, we thought about it, we're ready for it, come over, or just, what's the next step? That happens 10, 15% of the time. But 80% of the time, they're not going to call you back. So when you leave the listing presentation, you need to have a process. So I'm saying this now because that's the entire listing presentation. Don't think that the listing presentation starts at the moment you're actually starting your listing presentation script. Okay, let's get into the details. Okay, a presentation is by far the most important part of your skill set. Top producers become great presenters. Basically they work on their presentation skills from the beginning of their career until they quit. They understand the importance of practicing. Obviously, role-playing your listing presentation script on a daily basis. Strong presenters get the majority of the listings. So if you can become a strong presenter, which doesn't mean showing up at the door and then leaving the house with the listing, which means after your whatever script you've been using, if it's a center of influence, even when you get referrals, you got to go through the process. What's the process? Speak with them over the phone, pre-qualify the listing appointment, send them a pre-listing package, call them, ask questions, show up at the house, handle objections, do everything that needs to be done in the listing presentation, and then take the listing. If the listing is not given to you, follow up. What's your follow-up system? Okay. Okay, your appearance. Unfortunately, we judge each other by the way people look. If you look, there is a say that goes, fake it until you make it. What does that mean? Well, if you are selling the sellers that you are a top-notch producer, you got to look like it. You can't show up with flip-flops and shorts. You got to look professional. So therefore, you got to make sure that you look what it is that you say you are, right? If you want to get more listings, upgrade the way you look. If you can, upgrade your car, wear your best suit, be sharp, be energetic and enthusiastic, strong and firm handshake, shine your shoes, go groomed. So don't go there like, make sure it's showtime. And top producers treat listing presentations as showtime. They prepare for it, they rehearse, they already know exactly what's going to happen before they even walk in. And that's really the goal. The goal is for you to know what's going to happen before you walk in. All right. To list more properties, you must have the ability to pre-qualify, which we spoke about pre-qualifying scripts. We had a session on it. The second thing here is the ability to present a strong pre-listing package. You need to have a strong pre-listing package, which means you're going to have testimonials inside. You're going to have your plan of action. What are you going to do? What are you actually going to do to sell their home? You need to have recently sold, recently listed by you or by the company. You need to have, your CMA intact. You need to have all the agreements intact. You need to really look professional. The ability to understand pricing, which is something we spoke about also last week. You need to become a market expert. If you need to become a market expert, then you got to do the work that is necessary to become one, which includes a lot of previews, a lot of looking at MLS, analyzing data, and really becoming a pricing specialist. And then the ability to present with energy and enthusiasm. If you're amiable, which means you're timid, you're shy, you don't do well with new people, you only feel comfortable with people that you've known for a long time and trust. That's what it means being amiable. If you're analytical, it means you don't wear any emotions on your face. You don't smile. You're not moving your hands when you talk. There is really no animation in your presentation. It's more like cold and all about the numbers and the data and look at these numbers and look at that. And here's what the process is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boring as heck is the analytical style. So you got to move away from that and be more expressive, more influential. And so these are things we teach in the advanced training programs. All right, next, the ability to use a canned presentation. What is that? It's a presentation that's prepared ahead of time. You're not winging it, going to the house, winging your presentation based on what the seller says. Sometimes I also hear top producers say that they go to the house and then based on what's happening, they decide which approach to take. But even if then, they actually do that. They have certain different approaches. For example, they have an approach for a driver, an approach for an expressive person, an approach for amiable, and an approach for analytical. But the approach is there. They're not winging the approach as they go along. That's not what is meant. What's meant is that they go in trying to figure out who am I dealing with over here, what personality styles am I dealing with, and then present to the personality style. But the listing presentation script, the words that are coming out of your mouth, what you're going to be saying in the next 20 minutes should be rehearsed and always done in the same way. So when you show up at the house, obviously, you thank them for, trusting you and bringing you over there and listening to you. And then let me take a quick look at the house. Can I put my stuff here at the kitchen table? Okay, you don't have to come with me. I'm going to do this real quickly to speed up the process. And then you just go take a look at the house, come back to the kitchen, and then sit down, let them sit down at the kitchen table, start your presentation, and then you go through the entire process. We're not going to talk about how to do the presentation right now. I'm going to leave that for the listing presentation bootcamp. And I'm thinking about actually creating one now online. So we're probably going to, looking at my schedule, probably going to announce the listing presentation bootcamp coming up probably by the end of the month or the beginning of July. We'll see how that goes based on what's happening with COVID and all. All right, next step. Questions the seller is normally going to have. How much my home is worth? How long will it take to sell my house? What are you going to do to get it sold? These are the three main questions that every single seller is going to have in their minds. Our presentation is designed to answer these questions in the presentation. So I normally would start a presentation by saying, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I wrote down a lot of different questions, and I'm probably going to cover most of your questions. So let's wait until the end with all the questions. If you have any questions at the end of the presentation, if I haven't spoken about it, I'll give time for all these questions, and I'm going to answer them one by one. But look, the presentation is designed in such a way that you're going to answer all questions, specifically those three. All right, so these are the three that sellers are thinking about that. Therefore, you got to answer those questions. 5-step listing process. Before you go to meet with the seller, you need to pre-qualify 100% of the appointments, 100% of the time, no exceptions. We spoke about that already. Number 2, you need to mail and deliver a pre-listing package. We spoke about that as well. Number 3, call back to confirm they received and read the package. We spoke about that as well. Show up 20 minutes earlier to walk around the property and take some pictures. Be dressed professionally, be prepared emotionally and mentally. I found it actually helpful if you are listening to a particular music that you really like listening to, that pumps you up, something that makes you super excited. Could be one song that every time you hear it, you feel good. That's the song you want to play before you walk in there. So just, the song itself, listening to it, even sitting in your car, will produce something, some reaction in your body that will help you get more excited, feeling better, etc. Now, it says here, show up 20 minutes earlier. I know some people who show up late to a listing presentation. If you are showing up late to a listing presentation, you should already fire yourself, which means you're probably not going to get the listing. So if you're late for a listing presentation, 90% you're not going to get the listing. So obviously, you need to do whatever it takes to be there 20 minutes before your presentation, to take into consideration traffic, accidents, and all the stories you have in your suitcase prepared to make excuses to a late behavior. Number 5, follow up your script verbatim. Some people have a problem with the word verbatim. They don't like it, so they reinvent the script while they're presenting. We don't do that with the listing presentation. You could do it when you are on the phone with someone with a FISBO script and you need to come in and out of the script. But when you present, there's no in and out. You're starting, and until you finish, there is no, there's no stopping. There's no disturbances. You just go A to Z throughout the entire process without stopping, okay? Follow the script verbatim. Prelisting package should include what should be in inside your prelisting package. Number one is a contract, which means the exclusive agreement you want them to sign, highlighted already. You can also put stickers on it that say sign here. If you're sending them a e-signature version, you can also highlight on that. Number two, seller's net sheets, which means you are showing them how much money they're going to net out of the sale, which includes the selling price minus your commission, minus attorney fees, closing fees, mortgage balance, liens, if any, etc. These are questions you need to ask before the listing presentation. And if they give it to you, you can actually give them a net sheet. If they don't give you their mortgage balance, you can still give them a net sheet, okay, that doesn't reflect the mortgage. Obviously, you can write down, this net amount is not including your mortgage balance. Number three, your action plan. Now, a lot of agents have a problem with that because they don't have an action plan. When they list the property, they don't know what to do next. So you need to have steps to sell their home. And we actually have that in all the scripts and dialogues we provide on our website or through the Mike Ferry organization. You can actually find the action plan with all the steps of what is said and what's included in there. Number four is references or client review page. Obviously, if you have a Zillow page with 5-star reviews, you want to share that. I prefer always to choose the best reviews that you like most and then take a snapshot and add as an attachment to the email you're sending them on your prelisting package. You need to have at least 3 5-star reviews. Okay, number 5 is a full market analysis with a minimum of 3 active listings and 3 solds. You can also put in some expireds. If the market is booming the way it is right now in Rhode Island, there's no need for expireds. You just need 3 actives and 3 solds. Make sure you're choosing the right active listings. You need to know what you're going to list. If you think that it's a 2,000 square feet house, because that's what the seller told you, and then you're sending them 2,000 square feet comparable actives as competition, and they're not really comparables because this one has a 3-bedroom and the others have 2 bedrooms, then you need to be careful. But we spoke about that as well in a different video. Okay, number 6, copy of your schedule. That's optional. Why is it optional? Because if you're one of those agents who is lazy, meaning waking up whenever they wake up, and they don't have a morning routine, a morning structure that's built with role playing and prospecting and lead follow up and all that. They just wake up, check some emails, drink coffee, eat breakfast, then they go, they do whatever they come. They don't have a set schedule, then they're not going to share the schedule. But if you're a professional agent, like we teach you to be within the system, then you have already your schedule and you just need to publish it and give it to them. Show them why they should choose you because you are on a specific schedule. If you wake up at 5 a.m. every morning and you prepare your day before you begin and you impress them with your morning routine, that might do the work. I found that it did many times. All right, get over it and learn the scripts. A lot of people have an issue with that. Most people that are following our systems don't have an issue. We also help you with Mondays and Tuesdays, role play club, by showing up every Monday, Tuesday, role playing all the stuff. Actually, this week, tomorrow morning, we're going to begin practicing the listing presentation. So if you wish, you can just join that and take a look at what it looks like. All right, many people don't like scripts. Those are the non-sales people. People who feel uncomfortable with scripts don't like to sell. In my opinion, people who don't like to sell shouldn't be in our industry. I heard many times agents say, oh, we are not in the sales industry. This is the service industry. No, it's not. You actually need to sell in order to make money. You're not servicing anything. You are selling. So low producers and mediocre agents don't use scripts. They just wing it. If you're winging it, guess what's the production level you're going to reach? Salespeople actually love scripts because they keep them on track, keep them focused. You don't need to think about what to say next. Therefore, you can actually pay attention to what the seller is saying or what the buyer is saying. And you can be with them when they speak. Instead of thinking about when they talk, you think about what you want to say next. If you already know what you're going to say, you can be with them like fully focused 100% of the time. All right, top producers use scripts in all steps of the listing process. Next, upgrade your language. Partake in daily role-playing sessions. That's something that I believe all agents should do. As a matter of fact, the majority of top producers that I worked with or met throughout my career, 22 years, especially those who follow the Mike Ferry system, do role-play sessions every single morning. Keep working on their sales skills, meaning they keep sharpening the knife, learning new ways of handling objections, chanting out loud the listing presentation, the handling objections, all that stuff need to be it has to be part of who you are. You can't think about what to say when you get an objection. There are only 10 to 12 objections we're getting. If you can prepare yourself for those 10 to 12 objections and know exactly how to handle them, you're never going to be surprised by an objection. Okay, handwrite your listing presentation once a day for 30 days. If you want to really memorize the listing presentation, this is highly, 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 highly recommended. Because when you handwrite something, it goes right into your subconscious mind if you want it or not. And if it's annoying, like actually very annoying to handwrite your listing presentation every day for 30 days. But if you finalize the process, I promise you, by the end of the 30 days, you already know it by heart. Okay, present in front of a mirror. Stand in front of a mirror, read out loud your script as if you're standing in front of sellers and look at your face impressions. If you're not smiling, start smiling. If you're too serious, you catch yourself. You know, look at your body language when you do that. And then obviously present to a role play partner, which we do Mondays, Tuesdays, and then you do with your own partners on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Present in front of as many people as possible. That's the name of the game here. And record yourself doing presentations. So when you record yourself on a video, doing a listing presentation, and then you look at yourself, you're going to start recognizing some stuff you don't like. Trust me. Everyone who watched their video the first time hated it. Why they hate it? Because they don't like to see themselves on a video because they know they suck. So therefore, they actually go and, get more serious about memorizing, internalizing, and really going into the script memorization. When you actually know how to present A to Z without thinking about the process, you will get listings if you want it or not. It just becomes like a side effect. All right, create a pre-listing routine. This is something that I teach in the boot camp to prepare your mindset. This is a mindset exercise. You want to get your mindset in order. You want to be pumped up, motivated, and excited before you reach the door. Now, these days, we're doing presentations on Zoom. If you're just going to sit down, all cool, very relaxed in the listing presentation, and you're going to go over your presentation on the screen with your voice being like this, the same level the whole time. By the time you're going to get to the second minute of your presentation, the seller is going to start looking at her cell phone, and the wife is going to start thinking about, how do I get rid of this agent? I don't like him, etc., etc. Or you're going to get excited, pumped up about the situation, go right in there, do your thing. It's showtime. You can't do that if you're nervous. And the reason most agents are nervous is because they don't practice the presentation. If you don't practice, you're going to be nervous. Now, if you role play every day, think about this. You handwrite your script for 30 days, every single day. You chant it out loud every day in front of a mirror. You recorded yourself and you looked at the video, and then you recorded another video and you looked again at this video, and then you critique yourself, and then you recorded another video until you reach like a perfect video. And then you just watch that perfect video. Watch your tonality, watch your body language, pay attention to your energy, do all that stuff watching this video, and keep watching this video every day. Then role play as you go along. You role play every day a listing presentation, role play handling objections. When you actually going to get to a listing presentation, guess what's going to happen? You already know. So when you go out there, you got to put a smile on your face. You have to dress professionally, for crying out loud. You got to make sure you have all the things you need. Get to the home 20 minutes before a presentation to prepare yourself. Now, if you're late, trust me, your mindset is already off. Think about this. You're driving to a listing presentation. You should be there at 6 p.m. it is 5:45, you're sitting on a freaking highway in traffic, and you already know that you're going to get there because your navigation tells you that you're going to get there at 6:07. You're 7 minutes late already. What's your mindset doing? How do you feel right now? Do you feel good about it? So how do you think, what do you think will happen when you get to the house? The first thing you got to do is spend 2 minutes on, making excuses and asking for forgiveness and all that stuff. That's not a professional real estate agent. So be on time to all your presentations. As a matter of fact, if I had a client call me and tell me, hey, Ron, I had an appointment, even a buyer, I had an appointment with one of your agents. He was half an hour late. You know what happened that day? I fired the agent on the spot. I'm not interested in having anyone wearing the Circle 100 logo and being late to appointments because it is the most unprofessional, unrespected behavior. You're not respecting the others by being late. It is so ugly, I can't even start talking about that. All right, next is phase 16, buyer consultation. We'll talk about it next Sunday. I'm going to open up the microphone right now, and you guys can shoot some questions on the topic.